there, good evening. It is the 19th day of April 2024. It is exactly 9 p.m. East African time. You're watching EBN Weekend Edition. We are coming to you live from Kenya's capital, that is Nairobi. We've got quite a bit in store. The nation leaders continue to mourn the death of the Chief of Defense Forces, that is General Francis Omondi Ogolla, born in 1962 and passed away in 2024, that is yesterday. Amongst also the ones that passed away are different brigadiers and different personnel within the military who continue to be mourned, with various leaders as well as their families. So we've got this and much more making headlines across the country tonight, but let's get started with the day's top stories. Condolences messages continue to pour in from various leaders following the death of Chief of Defense Forces General Francis Ogolla and 9 others. Fallen soldier Brigadier Swale Nzaro Said laid to rest at his home in Kilifi County hours after military aircraft crashes in Elgeyo Marakwet. Rains of destructions. Hundreds of families in Kiambu County displaced by floods. Well, let's get this show started. Now, President William Ruto arrived at the home of the late Chief of Defense Forces, Francis Ogolla, to condole with the family ahead of his burial on Sunday. The head of state was accompanied by his Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, cabinet secretaries led by the Defense Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, and other top military officials. Let's take a look at what happened earlier.
As we celebrate his life and mourn his loss, as a nation, we must remind ourselves that General Ogolla died on duty, responding to the cries of women, children, who suffered at the hands of bandits and cattle rustlers and bad people. And when I discussed this with him, when I came from West Pokot about 10 days ago, the people of West Pokot had asked me, they had 5 schools that had been closed because of insecurity. And I asked General Ogolla, what are we going to do? He told me he would reorganize his budget, provide for 30 million shillings, and go himself to supervise the construction of those schools. That is how much General Ogolla believed in country. And because he passed on duty, we celebrate his life in a very special way. He was not just the head of our military. He was not just in office. He died on duty. Active duty. That speaks volumes of what General Ogolla is.
Now, Raila Odinga led Azimio leaders in condoling the wife of the late Chief of Defense Forces, Francis Ogolla, that is Aileen Ogolla, at his Nairobi home. Odinga was accompanied by, among others, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and his NARC Kenya counterpart Martha Karua, who later read Azimio's condolence message to the press. In their tribute to General Ogolla, the coalition said the country had lost a leader with deep knowledge and steady leadership in military affairs. It added that the demise of such a man is not only Kenya's but also international community's loss.
This is devastating, not only to the country but more to their families. Fortunately, the brutal hand of death left behind 2 unidentified survivors whom we wish a speedy recovery. We also ask that they be secured and afforded the best treatment that we can afford. We will always remember General Ogolla as a devout patriot and dedicated soldier to the Republic of Kenya from the day he graduated. He has been through multiple tours of duty and ultimately, as the top soldier in Kenya, the Chief of Defense Forces, the CDF. He was revered by his colleagues at home and abroad. He has had a service of 40 years. Kenya's 11th CDF was a focused visionary whose impact on our disciplined forces, indeed our nation, will be greatly missed. To General Ogolla'S family and the families of the other fallen soldiers, we offer our deepest condolences. At this most difficult moment, we stand with them and our prayers are with them. As Azimio, we are.
Now, the late Kenya Defense Forces boss, General Francis Ogolla, will be accorded a military honors ceremony complete with a military parade and a 19-gun salute a day before his burial on Sunday, April 21st. The government has decided to honor his wishes to be buried within 72 hours of his death and announced he will be laid to rest at his home in Nia Village, Siaya County. The Kenya Defense Forces will hold their own event to honor their late boss with a military honors ceremony to be conducted tomorrow, that is Saturday, April 20th, 2024. According to a statement from Defense Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, the military honors ceremony will be held at the Ulinzi Sports Complex in Lang'ata from 1 p.m. It was also revealed that a memorial service will be held on Friday, April 26th, 2024 at the Ulinzi Sports Complex in Lang'ata, in line with the wishes of the family. Now, the family of the late CDF General Francis Omondi Ogolla, through the family coordinator Joel Rabuku Ogolla, have announced funeral preparations for their late son. His family has dutifully chosen Sunday, April 21st for his final farewell to be held at his cherished home in Mor Alego, Siaya County. This will be preceded by a heartfelt service at his local church in Duru. Additionally, a memorial service will be held on Friday, April 26, 2024 at the Ulinzi Sports Complex in Lang'ata.
At the moment, we are planning to have the funeral on Sunday. And we are also planning even to have a 100-year celebration of Amze here. But now it may not work so well, but those who will come will just be entertained tomorrow. And then on Sunday we shall proceed the church, where there was supposed to be consecration of the church, and also the burial service will continue. So at the moment I'm going to mount the stone for that consecration, which will be done by the Archbishop, and then later we move for the funeral in his home next to here, not this home here.
Now, Lego Usonga constituency finds itself plunged into mourning, grappling with the loss of 2 valiant sons who served the Kenya Defense Forces, their bravery now immortalized in tragedy. The Chief of Defense Forces, General Francis Omondi Ogolla, will be buried in 2 days' time. The fallen soldier's brother, Canon Hezekiah Oduor, said that the deceased had expressed his wish to be buried within 3 days after his death. Now, Oduor said that the funeral preparations is currently ongoing to ensure that the CDF is accorded a befitting burial. He also said the general had also cautioned one of the sisters whom he believed to be stubborn not to stand on the way of the family when carrying their final wish. According to Oduor, the general did not want his funeral to be dragged for days.
We know him as a generous person, as a humble person, as someone who can associate with anyone. And I can remember one day when he was around and I saw him and there was a bodyguard behind him, but I could not notice immediately that it was him. Then I just said, hey, is that Francis Ogolla? Actually, he waved at me and I knew this man is a down-to-earth person. We also worship with him in the same church and he normally sits at the back when people we are worshiping, and you will never notice that he's within until the pastor will notice that he's within and will actually acknowledge that he's there and he'll greet us.
I'm a community member around. We know General because as the name states that he's a general, but locally you could not tell whether this man is really a general because he was a down-to-earth person. He will move freely, interact with everybody. Sometimes even when he's around, he would sneak to church and sit at the back without anybody realizing that the general is around. He was a man who was down to earth, a man of the people, a generous man. He would not like to see anybody missing something that he could offer. He was looking after a lot of widows. He would take everybody to school. Anybody who was willing to go to school, the general would be there for him. There are several schools around here.
Friendly and has a lot of good relations with people of all cadres, people of each age bit, women, and he happens to have known so many relatives, so he could easily talk with them. Even yesterday, before what happened, he had made phone calls to so many people, greeting them, wanting to know their well-being, and he was a social person.
Now, UDA leaders from Nyanza region have suspended all party grassroots engagements to mourn the death of CDF Francis Ogolla following the untimely demise in a plane crash in West Pokot. The leaders have termed the death as tragic and heartbreaking, calling on Kenyans to maintain peace and sobriety as the whole country mourns. They have called on the party's National Election Board to suspend and review all parties' election dates to a further date to allow them mourn their son.
Here to register the sadness we have as a nation, as a community, as a Luo nation, and as Kenya at large. The loss of great servicemen and the defense commander yesterday. I want to pass our condolences to the military fraternity and to the families of the deceased soldiers. We want to make a declaration that as UDA Nyanza team, we are calling off all party grassroots engagements that was supposed to kickstart today. And we are also making a passionate appeal to the National Election Board, UDA, to suspend and review the dates of the oncoming grassroots elections slated earlier for 26th of this month. This period, as people of Luo Nyanza region, we want to dedicate to our strong brother, General Francis Ogolla. May his soul rest in peace.
He has built the confidence of our people that indeed the government can serve our people and can transform the socio-economic livelihoods of our people. General Ogolla has taken time, every time he visits Nyanza, to come with his technical staff to visit and know community problems, and he has been involved in sinking of boreholes. They have set up a military shop in Kisumu.
The heartbreaking news of the passing of the General Francis Ogolla is so heartbreaking to all Kenyans, plus all the other 9 servicemen that were on board the plane crash. I therefore take this opportunity to send my heartfelt and my deepest condolences to the bereaved families and to the nation at large, because this is not only a loss to Kenya, but Africa at large. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of all the Kisumu County youths and on behalf of the Kisumu Young Leaders Caucus to say that we have received this news with heartbreak.
Sisi kama jamii na katika eneo zima la Nyanza tunachukua muda huu kuomboleza pamoja na taifa, pamoja na watu wote na jamii na marafiki za hao ambao wameweza kupoteza maisha yao, huku tukiwaombea afueni ya haraka wale ambao wamejipata kwenye hospitali.
Now, the family of 32-year-old Captain Hilary Litali, who died in a plane crash involving the Chief of the Defense Forces, General Francis Ogolla, and 9 other soldiers in Elgeyo Marakwet, is mourning his death. Hilary was born in Shironyanga village in 1992 before the father moved to Nakuru, where they lived their lives. Now, the family, led by Rogers Wahisi and his grandmother, Peneta James Shihemi and Fanuel Opati, say that Captain Hilary visited them last year at their compound in Ingotse, Navaholo constituency in Kakamega County. They described Hilary as someone who gave himself fully to his duties and was also funny.
Saa hii ni miaka 8 ambayo amefanya kazi, lakini ukiangalia progress yake ya miaka 8 ambayo amefanya kazi, move ranks mingi sana, ambazo hata latest alikuwa anatoka kwa ukapten, alikuwa amepata na promotion nyingine ya kusonga juu. So tumepoteza kijana ambaye ni mtu ambaye alikuwa maana sana kwa hili boma. Kijana alikuwa amenunua shamba Kitale, alikuwa anataka kujenga Kitale. In fact alikuwa amemwaga material, alikuwa anaanza kujenga kwa miezi ambazo inafuata kama mwezi mmoja, kwa material alikuwa shamwaga. But ni kijana mwenye ameoa juzi. Jana mimi nimepata habari ya kifo ya Hilary nikiwa Nairobi, na tukawasiliana na baba yake ambaye already alikuwa amepata information lakini hakukuwa sure. So tuli exchange conversation kwa muda until kufika mwendo wa saa 9 ndio tukapata confirmation. Tulipata confirmation kabla ya taarifa ambayo ilikuwa inatangazwa. Hilary was very jovial. Very jovial. In fact yeye ndiye alikuwa ana lead platoon ile ambayo ilikuwa imeenda sehemu ya Marakwet. Kwa hiyo ndege tulikuwa na mtu wa kurekebisha, tulikuwa na mechanics, tulikuwa na pilot wawili. Pilot wa kwanza tulikuwa na pilot watatu, tulikuwa na captains watatu, na tulikuwa na mtu wa kutengeneza. So mimi tu ambalo nafikiria serikali kaweza kufanya uchunguzi zaidi, kwa sababu ndege haiwezi kupanda juu ninaanza kuungua, na walikuwa wametembea sehemu zingine.
Na ni mtoto ambaye alikuwa mtoto mzuri, mchangamfu, alisoma vizuri, na Mungu alikuwa amembarikia, amepata kazi kwa jeshi. Lakini bahati mbaya amepata ajali na amekufa. Tumehusunika sana.
Nina huzuni mingi kwa chuku yangu, amekufa na kifo yake ilikuwa mbaya.
Niko na huzuni sana. Niko na huzuni. Nimekuwa na marehemu mwaka jana Januari. Akaniambia kuku na kuja tuingishe nyumba. Kwa hivyo niko na huzuni. Inarilitali. Captain, nilikuwa nimefurahia. Amerudi kwenye papu yake alikuwa. Kwa hiyo kiti ya papu yake. Nikijua nikikufa bila papu yake alikufa, yeye ndiye atanisika.
Now, the family of the late Sergeant Rose Nyawira in Kagio, Kirinyaga County says they are still in shock over the death of their daughter, which is a big blow to the family and the community. The father, Peter Washira Kariuki, says that his daughter, Sergeant Rose Nyawira, had come home to visit on Saturday, and he's one of the persons that took her to the bus stop on Monday morning as she was traveling back to work in Nairobi. Now, Washira said that on the ill-fated day, his daughter called him in the morning hours to follow up on a joint farming project that they were undertaking, but their conversation was not complete and was to be continued once she got back to Nairobi after the Elgeyo Marakwet assignment, which is not to be.
Baba ya Sergeant Rose Nyawira, kwa ukweli Nyawira tulikuwa naye on Saturday, last Saturday alikuwa amenitembelea na nikamsidikisha on a Monday morning ili arudi kazini. Alafu before the bad day tuliongea naye asubuhi, akaniambia hana shida, anaenda kazini na akirudi tutaongea. Kwa hivyo nikashida mchana yote. Sasa ndio saa hii ingine nikapata kuna ajali na nikashindwa ni nini ama ni nini, lakini kijana wangu alipigiwa simu ni one of KDF officers, akamwambia kumepatikana kitu kama hii, na akamwambia they are working on that. Kwa hivyo kama saa 11 hivi ndio nilipata habari kutoka kwa kijana yangu, na ilitokana kwa mmoja kutoka kwa KDF.
Now, KDF's Brigadier Swale Nzaro Said was buried at his farm in Kikambala, Kilifi County on Friday at 6 p.m. Now, Said was among senior military officers who perished in the chopper crash at Kaben in Marakwet East Sub-County on Thursday afternoon. He was given a 13-gun salute. Now, Said's body arrived in Mombasa mid-morning and was taken to his mother's home in Majaoni, Kisauni Sub-County for preparations. Now, earlier on, the family had planned to inter his remains at the mother's home in Majaoni, but it was later changed and taken to be buried at his farm, one that he bought in Kikambala, Kilifi County. Indeed, quite tragic events that saw about 10 people die in that particular plane crash, amongst them the Chief of Defense Forces, that is General Francis Ogolla'S. Now remember, he's basically the head of the military forces, and he's also just, second in command to the military after President William Ruto. So we keep tabs with that. His memorial service will be happening tomorrow at the Ulinzi Sports Complex. This is a place that he always will take 2 runs, bi-weekly runs in that particular place, and he just actually earlier this week done 2 runs within that area. So we'll also be having our eyes and ears on the ground for that memorial service tomorrow on Saturday. Now let's take a look at other stories making headlines across the country, where more than 100 families are estimating losses after heavy rains continue to be witnessed in the country, which flooded more than 20 houses, most of which are tenements in region Muthiga and Kino villages in Kikuyu constituency, Kiambu County. According to the residents, the unfinished roads direct all flood water into their houses, causing flooding at their homes, forcing others to move elsewhere. In addition, they say that they are suffering from diseases caused by the floods that they say, is a mix of sewage, and are now asking the national government and the county government to intervene and find a permanent solution for them.
More than 25 households zote zilikuwa zimejaa maji, na tukikaunt families, tuko na family kama 100 ambao wako trapped mpaka wasai kutoka asubuhi sababu ya hiyo maji. Kwa hivyo hii maji imekuwa ni shida na ni kwa muda mrefu sana. Tumejaribu kuteta, tumejaribu yoyote kwa kugonga ofisi za serikali ndio tusaidiwe, sababu hii maji mkiangalia mtaona hii maji imekwama, ni kumaanisha ambao haiendi. Kama hii maji haiendi, sasa imeingia kwa manyumba, na utakuta kwamba hiyo manyumba imechanganyika mpaka na choo. Kwa hivyo tuko na ile shida ama uoga ya kuambukizwa sasa hii maradhi ambayo inatokana na maji ambayo ni chafu. Utakuta ya kwamba kama tungekuwa na drainage mzuri, hii maji ingekuwa inaenda. Kwa hivyo haingekuwa shida hata kukenyesha mvua yoyote aina gani. Tumejaribu na tunafikiria kwamba hata county government through MCA tumelia sana mpaka na municipality ya huku Kikuyu at least ndio ikuje itufanyie drainage na ifanywe drainage ya kwamba hii maji yote itakuwa inaenda.
Mimi naitwa Eric Macharia. Kaanga kwa ground floor, hii ni nyumba yangu hapa. So venye niliamka tu hivi kuangalia chini ya kitanda maji imejaa kwa level ya mud boot. So I had to look for people from outside. Hapo hivyo kwa dirisha nikaita msee akanisaidia na gumboot nikazivaa ndio nikatoka. Mali zangu mingi zimeharibikia huko ndani. Hata as we speak right now we are trying to move some of the items. Sio mimi peke yangu juu pia wase wenye wana access hii plot pia they are not able to access the plot because they are maji yenye iko hapa nje na pia sewage ilikuja ikalipuka baadaye.
Naitwa Grace Kinyanjui. Ilinyesha kwa wingi ikaingia kwa hii plot ikajaa kwa watu wote, watu hata hawajatoka nje na ingine ina block kutoka kwa barabara inaingia pande hii. Sasa kama tunaweza tujegewe ile barabara vizuri ndio maji yaache kuingia kwa manyumba.
The Kikuyu Council of Elders Kiama has formally requested the Directorate of Criminal Investigations DCI to look into a splinter faction misappropriating its name. Led by the chairman Shamte Munywa, the petition was submitted with signatures from Kinyua Wambobe of Kirinyaga, Waruhiu Ndirangu of Nyandarua, Saitoti Kabuiku of Kajiado, Karime Waithaka of Laikipia as well. Now addressing reporters at the DCI headquarters in Kiambu County on Friday, Munywa highlighted concerns over the alleged forgery of their certification by the splinter group led by individuals no longer recognized as members since their suspension in 2008. Now Munywa specifically called out Ndungu Gaithuma and Engineer Mwiru Kamunguna for unlawfully occupying positions within the Kiama. Now Captain Waweru Mbugua reiterated the elders' determination to pursue justice, expressing confidence in the authorities' intervention to apprehend and prosecute those impersonating their officials.
County. Na mimi nimesema nimeungana na hawa wengine wote wa kaunti zote za Kenya mzima na diaspora ili ndio tupewe makaratasi yetu ile ambayo itatufanya tuongeze na tuingize maneno ya mila za Kikuyu, tuanze kulea vijana wetu waachane na pombe, tuanze kurudisha miji yetu, maboma yetu katika maisha ya Ukikuyu vile ilikuwa hapo awali. Wanategemea ile tupeze inatoka kwa wanasiasa, ndio hiyo that's what they live on. Hiyo ndio wanaishi nayo na kuobaoba na kwenda tunafanya hivi. Na ndio mgawanyiko hiyo imeingia because hawa wanataka hiyo pesa. Tuko tofauti kabisa nao. Sisi tuko kwa njia ya kurudisha hii mto kwenye njia yake.
Na wazee watoagi pesa na hatuna account kwa wazee, maana ni kiama ya kula na kuwa utamaduni wa Kikuyu ndio tunafuata. Kwa hivyo hawa wazee tunaona kabisa si hatuko pamoja na wazee na walifanya kuiba certificate kuforge. That ilikuwa 2019 na tangu wakati huo wamekuwa kifuruga maofisi huku Nairobi. Sisi tulikuwa mashinani, wao huku Nairobi wanasijui nani wasaidia.
Now, over 5,000 local, regional and foreign tourists attended the first day of the 4-day Uganda's Culinary and Cultural Festival at the Diani Reef Beach Resort in Kwale. Uganda is holding the festival across 4 counties along the Kenyan coast, aiming to attract both Kenyan and international visitors to their nation. Now, the country has organized an array of cultural events in Kwale Beach in Malindi, Vipingo Ridge in Kilifi, and at Fort Jesus in Mombasa. On Saturday, a golf tournament will also be held at the Vipingo Ridge, Kilifi County, as part of the festival. Now, the major aim of the festival is to expose the unique Ugandan products to a wider number of corporate Kenyans, the youth, and other regional and international tourists in the Kenyan coast. Now, Uganda Consul General in Mombasa, Ambassador Paul Mukumbya, said Kenya and Uganda cross-border tourism has very big potential, which is yet to be fully exploited.
Kenya is the #1 source market for visitors to Uganda. Last year, the figures that were recently released by our Ministry of Tourism indicated that almost 500,000 Kenyans visited Uganda. And for Kenya, Uganda is the #2 source market for visitors. And last year, about 200,000 Ugandans visited Kenya. Whereas to go anywhere else, you need a visa and you need maybe an air ticket. In order for a Kenyan to go to Uganda, you don't need any of those. You don't need a visa. You don't even need a passport. All you need is your national identity card. And you don't even need to board a plane. You know, governments in this region still think that air travel is a luxury. So they have really made it so expensive for us to travel by air. But when we realize that air travel is just like a road connecting points A and B, and they make it much cheaper to travel by air, I think many more East Africans will visit these countries. Really, we want to promote this regional tourism, which, by the way, is also helping us to do away with that seasonality. Because for us, we travel all the year round. We don't wait for summer or winter to travel. So we want to attract these golfers. Because when they travel, normally they don't travel alone. They have some people accompanying them. And after playing golf, they know how to go and spend money. So we are trying to promote golf tourism.
Now, we'd love to wrap up our bulletin at that point. Thank you very much for watching. We hope that you're up to date with largely what is making headlines across the country. And remember, the 3-day mourning period continues. Tomorrow will be day 2, that is April 20th, even as a memorial service of the late general will be held at the Ulinzi Sports Complex. We'll be here to bring you the wall-to-wall coverage of that particular service. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend ahead. Blessed night.